The biggest concern coming out of Anthem is still ongoing and seems to be getting even bigger. That being that there's just not enough content in the game, especially when you get to max level. As much as I love this game, and I definitely think people should give it a try, I too really worry about the end game and just general content. Will Anthem be able to keep our interest for a good amount of time? Well, last night the devs came out with some pretty big responses into what kind of content will be in the game and what we could expect shortly afterwards. We got a bit more information about what happened yesterday. I really want to highlight Bioware's content plan and how they intend to implement stuff in the future, because it definitely is a double-edged sword. And a mini AMA on the Anthem subreddit Discord gives us a little insight to the fact that Anthem at some point may get a form of horde mode or endless dungeon, and that more strongholds are definitely in the works. More questions answered there too. My name is Ryan Central. You can subscribe for more Anthem content if you'd like, and we have a giveaway going on at the moment for a Legion of Dawn edition of the game. Runner-up will win a standard copy on any platform. Do answer in the comments below. Very easy to do so. Yesterday we had a Shaper Storm event. At least we think it was a Shaper Storm. It was a bit weird. Mike Gamble tweeted saying that a couple of people have asked, one of which was definitely me, so I'm going to clarify. The thing today was Shaper technology starting to go off the rails. Weird things pop up, more dangerous creatures fill the lands, but oh no, that's not the worst it gets. This dynamic event was a really cool thing to have in the game. Was it overhyped? Most definitely, and I certainly wanted more. But I do understand that this is a demo and that's the whole point. But seeing a storm in the sky, everybody getting really excited, it was awesome. My whole problem with this is when we find out a lot of information, it tends to leave us with more questions than answers. Now that isn't a bad thing, because the thing that's constantly said from the developers is there's more content than we think, and that came again from a tweet from Mike Gamble, almost addressing this. He goes through and lists what will be in the game. He says a full main story with amazing cutscenes and performances, 3 Fort Tarsis agents, each with a full optional arc of missions. Some don't open up until after the main story, so that's freelancers, arcanists, and sentinels. Free play full of world events and variants in a world we can change at a moment's notice. Fort Tarsis full of characters to talk to and make decisions with, continuing after the main story is done. 6 additional optional missions related to the critical path the demo showed free. Plus much more. There's a ton of content in Anthem, and that's all before endgame. This goes nicely onto an article with Ben Irving from GameSpot where he talks about endgame and the kind of content that we can have there. Of course, we know that there's going to be strongholds, legendary contracts and free play, but the talks of stuff like Shaper Storms, Cataclysms, and red light content we still don't know an awful lot about. Ben says we do believe in aspirational content. I think in other games you can call that raids, so we do have plans for aspirational content and live services. We're not talking about that and what the details are just yet, but we do recognize the idea that hey, like if you want to do something a couple of times a week with a group of friends that is hard, that really pushes yourself, and that the rest of the time you'll do the other parts of the game to kind of get yourself ready for the next time you go into aspirational content. There's a whole lot of stuff to do, and the way we've tried to plan it, by the time people are kind of working through content up to level 30, we will have more things to drop and more things to incentivize play, including things like, you know, we are a PvE centric game, but we believe in social competitions, so beyond the content, the loot, the progression, the exploration, it's fun to compete in a friendly way with your friends. So we're not announcing what any of those things are just yet, but we have some ideas I think that will promote that can help making sure players have things to do. The main thing that I wanted to highlight from this is that Bioware have a plan and they seem ready to run with it. By the way, when it comes to that kind of content, I really like the idea of social competitions. We have heard the devs talk about leaderboards in the past, but having better stats to see how much damage you do in comparison to your friends would be a cool thing to add. But also for strongholds, I really want to see affixes like in World of Warcraft and Mythic Dungeons, where it changes minor things about the stronghold that require you to change your playstyle. For example, every time you kill an enemy, it does a little bit of AoE damage to the rest of your team. So you have to kill the enemies one by one instead of AoEing them all down, in which case you'll take a lot of damage and probably get one shot. So elements like that just to make the mobs a little bit more interesting, or like the reinforcement trait in World of Warcraft where kind of the opposite, if you kill a mob, the other mobs in that group get stronger, so you need to kill them all in quick succession. That'd be something really cool in strongholds and again increase that longevity. This is the general attitude that Bioware has had going through this game. Whilst the words not of launch have been announced for a lot of different content, it does seem that Bioware are trying to stay ahead of the curve, and with any luck, by the time that players do get to level 30, do start gearing up and preparing for endgame content, running the strongholds, the legendary contracts, working their way up to Grandmaster 3, Bioware will be ready to go with what's next. This is why I still hold out hope for this game actually being quite good. It is a double-edged sword that this game is a live service. It does mean that we're going to get content drops, with any luck, on a pretty consistent basis. The issue is that maybe at the start of the game, we don't have an awful lot of stuff in there just yet. I think there's also a double-edged sword with how Bioware try and go about surprises. We've had some really good examples of nice things that players didn't expect, such as the announcement of the social bay. That just happened on a tweet. It's like, oh hey, we have social hubs by the way. And everybody was like, what? That's amazing, that's great. But we did see that sort of backfire with the Shaper Storm event that happened yesterday. They amped it up to be something, and whilst it was cool, it was beautiful, and the idea is certainly there, and you can see where Bioware can take it, that event left a lot of people underwhelmed. From meeting the developers, especially Ben Irving myself, I do think that they fully understand what they're getting into, they understand the concerns that the audience have. I don't think it's a case that they're naive going into this, that they're really underestimating how quickly people can get to level 30, do the endgame content, do Grandmaster free and have the best gear in the game. I don't think Bioware are going to be like, oh, that was quicker than we anticipated. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I don't know where the article was, I can't find it, but Ben Irving did say that players will be able to clear strongholds faster than they can make them, so they need to be smarter with how they create that content. And because all of this future content is going to be free, it means that they don't need to wait 3 months to put out an expansion. And considering that we will be getting a roadmap sometime soon after launch at least, we will have a really good idea on when stuff is meant to be happening. Like I said in yesterday's video, I do think we're going to see part 2 of the This Is Anthem series, and it is going to cover a little bit more information on strongholds, legendary contracts, and especially the stuff that will happen in free play, maybe even that aspirational content that's been mentioned quite a lot. Cataclysms, Shaper Storms, and this aspirational raid content might be different things, they might all be the same, we don't know that just yet. For those that cancelled their pre-orders, I completely understand. This game might be really bare bones at launch, but the foundations of Anthem, in my opinion, are there. Granted a few optimization, bug fixes, and quality of life changes, the game has a really good base kind of play. And if Bioware can make the right kind of content, then I think it's going to do really well. So that's what I believe is going to be Anthem's secret weapon when it comes to longevity, how the devs are responding to the audience, how quickly they can implement certain bits of content, which they can't basically do until launch now that the game's gone golden into certification. But we'll leave that conversation for another day. Now I want to go over a micro AMA that came in from Bioware Ben, not Ben Irving, the other Ben, that works on elements in gameplay, such as the strongholds. The first question has to do with something that I didn't even realise. Cabled mentioned for the turret mine, in a stronghold you could see that the turrets on the first stage of the map kept changing location and the amount of them. Do the strongholds have that system? Ben says they have a bit of RNG for position and type that they can choose from. We don't lean into RNG because in some cases it can create a sense of frustration, but we try to make them dynamic as much as possible without making it a source of frustration. A question about the random events that happen today. Will it be possible if they'll be even more grandiose? I enjoyed the event. Ben says, yeah, it's possible they will even be more grand. It'll take us some time to keep upping the stakes. Have you considered endless dungeons that are randomly generated or something along those lines? Ben says yes, they have considered it, but it is super difficult. He went on to say that it's super difficult to implement, not that the content would be super difficult. How quick after launch do you think people will be clearing Grandmaster free difficulty strongholds? Ben says probably faster than I could imagine, again suggesting that the devs are well aware how people can quickly clear this content, meaning that they're prepared for it. He does go on to say that if when you move into the GM difficulties, combos, synergy and loadouts are going to be super important. At GM 3, if you aren't maximizing your combos, you are in big trouble. Now this concerns me for a very specific reason. We have priming and detonating abilities in the game, which are great. The combo system is awesome within Anthem. However, those abilities that don't have a priming or detonating effect, I feel just why would you use them? Now the general consensus is that these abilities on average do more damage than a prime and detonate ability because it doesn't combo, so it makes up for that by being a really strong ability in its own right. But from here it sounds that you need to be able to use combos and the specific loadouts in these difficulties, meaning that those other abilities such as Wraith Strike for the Interceptor, Spark Beam for the Ranger, all might just not be used because they're not primers nor detonators. But that's a conversation for another day. But Will there be a secret grab it level? Ben says there will be. If I have anything to say about it, winky face. I bloody well hope so. Can the high CPU usage seriously be addressed? So many things I can't run alongside Anthem because of it. Ben says I sure hope so. I'm positive with people looking into it. So that's good news. A lot of optimization will come into the game. This game is screaming for a hard mode. Ben says it's been discussed. I think we've got some other things to check off the list first. I definitely think that we will see a hard mode in the game at some point, but not anytime soon. But this game definitely does need a hard mode, I do think. That'd be a lot of fun. Any ideas on the dev schedule for adding more strongholds ballpark wise? Like if you were shooting for adding another one within a few months or potentially later or earlier. Ben says we want to add more strongholds as soon as possible, then continue to do so, and they will also be free. When it comes to Bioware updating us with community updates, he says that there's going to be different forms. In addition to being on the Discord and on Reddit, there'll be roadmaps, live streams, and all that good stuff. He also mentions that they'll be doing multiple quality of life patches after launch. I mentioned affixes for strongholds earlier. Here's a really good one coming out of Cookies Beware. If you add modifiers for strongholds, can we get one that punishes us for shooting? Ben says I'll keep it in mind. So basically going in with melee builds with a ranger and interceptor, that'd be pretty sick. That sounds like a lot of dumb fun. The last one that I wanted to cover is actually really cool. We've discussed being able to bring the stronghold bosses into the world. It's not as easy as it sounds, but we want to do that. That'd be pretty awesome, just having the swarm tyrant running around in free play that you have to go kill them. That'd be a really cool event in general. Or just a whole of free play covered in webs, having scorpions everywhere, specific events surrounding that. That'd be awesome. I think that'd be a really cool thing to add into the game with any luck at some point. Let me know what you think of these answers if you still have big concerns surrounding the game, but that's everything that I wanted to go over today. It might be a bit quiet on the video front for a bit, seeing as there's not going to be an awful lot of news now, but who knows really. Lots of stuff is constantly coming out on a daily basis, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys soon, take care, and I'll see you then.